Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome REI Nation Facebook group. Kent Clothier here. Glad you guys are joining us today. Joining me today, you guys, most of the people on our group, unless you're new, know Nate Gray. Been with our company 12, 13 years, something like that. How many, Nate?
On year 14.
On year 14. Has overseen our property management division, Premier Property Management, for how many years, Nate?
10 plus.
10 plus. I would put him up against anybody in the country that oversees any kind of property management, multifamily, commercial, single family housing. There's nobody that knows as much as this guy about property management, I'll assure you. And we're lucky to have him, and we're going to get, there's some other videos in the back here. There's an hour-and-a-half video we did several weeks ago that I put up. I released it over the weekends, had over 1,000 views. We answered, we went an hour and a half and covered just about everything in property management that you could even talk about. So that's back there for all the new people that are on our group to go check out. But today we're going to talk about a couple of things. We're going to talk about crisis storm management that we've been through here for the last week, about how we handled that, may be able to help some insights with some people. And we're going to talk about our policy on appliances, that just kind of a one-off today that we did not cover in that hour and a half a few weeks ago. But let me just say to everybody that's watching, listening, please like this and love it and share it with other people. Today we have over 4,000 people in our group, a lot of people active, asking questions, having dialogue and conversations. We like it all. We'll just remind you that we do decline posts that we think that don't fit into what the group is trying to do. And we decline posts that are any type of advertising or soliciting or anything like that. Seem to be getting more and more of those now lately. And, but anyway, we welcome everybody to the group. Cannot believe that we've gotten over 4,000. We'll have 5,000 here in another couple of months. Thanks to everybody sharing this and with family and friends or whatever. So having said that, let me get into what we're going to talk about today. And I'll just remind everybody on the group that REI Nation and Premier Property Management, we're in 6, 7 states, 8 cities today with 6,400 properties, 2,300 some odd owners. And I'll get to the storm last week and we're going to talk about it. But first I want to talk about appliances for a second, because there was some conversation in the group over the weekend about appliances. And a long time ago, or how many years ago, Nate, did we finally say no more appliances?
You probably right around when I started here, 08.
08 or 09, we said that I made the decision that time because Chris and Brett weren't really heavily as involved as they are today. Nate wasn't. But I looked into the appliances and we did some data search back there, and 50% of our maintenance calls for our owners were appliances. Fix the dishwasher, fix the ice maker, washer won't drain, dryer doesn't work, vent's not hooked up right, ice maker doesn't work. It just went on and on and on with all of these appliance maintenance calls. So I went against the grain that every property management does out there and said, we're not doing appliances anymore. We're just not. Now, are there exceptions? Yeah, and I'll get to those in a second. Nate, just jump on here with me. But we made the decision not to do appliances. And today, and when I say not appliances, we do dishwashers and we do garbage disposals where need be. We do vent hoods over stoves. We have the space available for the stove. We have the space available for the refrigerator. We make sure that the connection is in there for an ice maker. We have the space for washer and dryer. We make sure the new washer connection box is installed and it's brand new. So we have it all set up. But the bottom line is that I didn't think our owners wanted all these maintenance calls. And so we had a lot of people push back on us. 10 years later, 4,000 houses later, we haven't changed. And we go into houses when we renovate them. For the most part, we put in new dishwashers, and that's probably the only appliance that we put in. And Nate's going to tell you just a second what the exceptions are on appliances, on where we do put them in, and we have a rent incentive. But our houses the renovation is so good. Today we have less, well, how many houses? We have 28 houses today for rent out of over 6,000. We have houses that are being renovated right now. I think I was told in a 1 o'clock meeting today, like 30 houses are already rented. We're not even done renovating them yet. All right. So the want and the desire and the need out there for houses, and I'm going to be a little different, say our houses out there at top of the rents for the most part. We get top of the rents and 2-year leases. So we don't have any problems renting houses without appliances. Now that goes against everything in the industry. And we've been to conferences and we tell people that, and they kind of laugh. What are you talking about? You don't put appliances in. No, we don't put them in. The tenants bring them, the residents bring them, and sometimes we give it credit. So they talk a little bit about what the exceptions would be on the appliances when we do put them in, and maybe some time a higher in-house, or take us down this route here about appliances.
Sure. So occasionally we will do a rental incentive, and that's what Ken is talking about with the exceptions. And that's going to be if we have a property that we're trying to either push rents on or ensure that it's rented quickly or something to that effect. We will sometimes throw out there a gimmick, a rental incentive. And one of the things that a resident may or may not request would be an appliance, whether it's a fridge or a stove or whatever it is. So that's really the only time that we're actually providing an appliance. I'd venture to say 98, 99% of the time we are not providing those. And I will echo what Kent said. You as an owner, if we can help it, want to avoid the headaches that supplying, warranting, and being responsible for any type of appliance in your property is out there. So like Kent said, the back left knob on the stove broke off, or the ice maker is not putting out ice, or you name it, we've heard it. And hence why we decided it's not needed. And it's still not needed because we're able to get the houses rented without them.
So Nate, occasionally our renovation people will go in and there'll be a stove in the house and there'll be a refrigerator or whatever. And if we don't want them, then the people that clean out our houses for us will take that and rid of them however they do. They may go take it to a area where somebody that buys appliances or whatever, but we have no system set up where we used to sell them. 10 years ago, we had a guy that came pick them up and give us $25 for every one of them, and we would have them out here in the back of one of our offices. But today, obviously, we can't do that. So our clean out people, which we have in every city that go in and trash out a house after we buy it and start renovating, will haul the appliances off and rid of them wherever they rid of them. And I have no idea. Do you have any idea what they do with them, Nate?
No, don't really need to or want to.
No, we just.
And what Kent's talking about is if a resident leaves one behind, and in most cases, we don't know if it still works. It's not going to be the cleanest of all things, so it's not even worth trying to salvage in most of the scenarios. So no.
So that's a little bit on the appliances. Let me see if I have any questions. Let's see where I set that up. That would be over here. Chat, I guess. All right. Okay. Nate, what else on appliances that?
Nothing. I think the crux of this was we had people asking when they were looking to purchase homes, why don't we supply appliances. And the main reason is maintenance costs, to keep your costs down, to keep those headaches down. And we have found that they're not required for us to rent houses. We're still able to rent houses at the top end of the range in most cases, without having to supply those appliances. So anything that we can do to reduce maintenance calls, reduce costs for you. And in most cases, people want their own stuff in the first place. This isn't single family residential is not like apartments where all of those things are supplied. In this case, we've got folks who have, I've got my special stainless steel side-by-side fridge or whatever it is, that is their preference. If it ever boils down to being an issue, we can offer an incentive. Even still, in those cases, I don't want to supply them, because anytime that you supply them, you're responsible for them. So instead, what we offer sometimes is an appliance credit. Look, I'll give you $300 off of your first month's rent, so you can use that $300 and go and buy a fridge or a stove or whatever it is. So again, lessen the amount of headaches and maintenance calls. And then also there's a whole other area of liability when it comes to appliances as well, that if we can stay away from, that's what we'd like to try to do. So in a nutshell, in my opinion.
And again, those that are viewing this now or view it later, if you want to drop us any questions in there, Chris or I or Nate will be glad to jump on there, Brett, and answer the questions. But that's pretty much what we do on appliance, and we've been doing that for many, many years. I know it shocks a lot of people, and it shocks some of the group people on here that found out that we don't do it. And there's no reason that I'd ever want to go back. And again, when we started looking at the maintenance costs that it was costing our investors, no. You got to pay a service call. You got to go get a part. You got to come back. You got to install it. It just became a mess. And we looked up and it was 50% of our maintenance calls were on appliances. Didn't take long for us to figure out we needed to get the heck out of this mess. And so there we are. And then when the resident brings their appliances and brings their washer and dryer or buys their new stove, and they can certainly take it with them when they exit the property. And if they have a maintenance issue with their ice maker or whatever, that's on them. That's their appliance. And they can certainly take it out at the end of their lease if they so desire. All right, Nate, let's move on to the main topic today.
Yeah,
so
good stuff.
Last week, every one of our cities, and those cities would be Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, Fort Worth, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, St. Louis, Little Rock, Memphis, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa. All were affected by the storm. Every one of them had days that they were below freezing for a number of days. Maybe Birmingham might have got out of that a little bit earlier than everybody, and maybe not have got down into the teens and right at zero several days. And then Monday afternoon, we made a decision that we sent all of our people home Monday week ago because of the incoming storm with 5 to 7 inches of snow and freezing and all that stuff that happened. And we didn't get back into our office until Monday. So we were out of business, or out of our office. We weren't out of business. We were out of the office 4.5 days. So, Nate, what was the first night that we put our crisis team together? Was it Monday night or Tuesday night?
It was the first night, Monday night.
Monday night, we pulled together 8 to 10 people, of management people in our company. And we had a call every night at 8 o'clock, a Zoom call with every one of our people. And I asked them a lot of hard questions about what was going on out there and what was happening in our cities. And we divided it up into 2 different categories. 1, how much was it heat related? And 2, how much was it plumbing related? And even from the get-go, before we even had the thaw, we had a lot of calls. We thought we would have somewhere around 500 calls total of the 6,000 plus properties. Nate, as of right now, how many total calls have we had storm related to heat and plumbing?
Let's see. 301 for plumbing. And for HVAC, we had about 60 to 70.
And that's all in 8 cities. We were surprised that we were heavy up in Houston and followed by Dallas. They were about the same together. Then Memphis came in and then the other cities. But my most important thing that night, the very first night on the first call, was the residents, on what we were going to do to take care of the residents on heat and a pipe burst. So we went into this crisis management and contacting our vendors, see who was going to be able to get on the street, who was going to be able to get out there. We had other members of our team talking to all of our vendors, taking all the calls from the residents, seeing who had any damage, see who we had to put up in a hotel, see who we had to find a shelter for to get out of the cold, get the water stopped, get the leak fixed, so on and so forth. So that we started every night. We did that Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, and then Friday afternoon as we started to come out of it. And then I think we had a meeting Saturday also, and Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock. And then we were back Monday morning at 8 o'clock. And my question always was to Nate, is the worst part behind us? We felt like Thursday we might have been coming out of it slowly. And to Nate's credit, he was exactly right, because after we got past Thursday, it kind of fell off really quickly, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You agree with that, Nate? Yeah, the calls did. But again, our most important thing was taking care of our residents. We have in our property management agreement, it says that the owners have the right to approve it. What amount is it, Nate?
Anything over 400.
Anything over 400. But we made the decision that night that and I think hopefully our owners will understand that we had to go. We could not let any resident sit out in this kind of weather without heat or with a leaking broken pipe. So we'll handle those particular situations if it comes up with an owner, but hopefully our owners understand what our reasoning for was to take care of the resident. Nate, you want to explain a little bit of that? Because we've had these extensive discussions all week.
Yeah, I mean, also in the management agreement, right under where it says that, it also says, except in the case of an emergency where, we deem that something is needed. But bottom line, we're looking out for the resident, your resident, and then we're also looking out for your asset, both in terms of trying to reduce costs or mitigate damages, and then also reduce turnover or mitigate any long-term effects that a short-term situation with a maintenance item could have on your residents' happiness. So, yeah, I mean, bottom line, it's leadership convened every night. Our teams convened every day. I saw people working very, 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 very hard, many hours to make sure that our residents were taken care of. And on top of that, those same employees that were doing just that, they were also facing some of the troubles at their own houses or apartments, being there in Texas. And it was really incredible to watch just an awesome team come through and do awesome things. So
I wanted to come on and talk about how we handle situations like this and how we don't sit back. We don't wait. We don't wait for the call. We're proactive and we're on the offense here as soon as this happened, because we knew it was going to be bad. We didn't know how bad it was going to be, but we wanted to have everybody in place. We had to put more people on the phones, taking the calls coming in. We had to have another team of people talking to our vendors in every city, getting them dispatched and getting them out there. And I'll just say this about our vendors, and we had about 30 vendors last Monday through Saturday that got out on the roads, got in the houses, got in the snow, put their company at risk out there driving around to get our vendors taken care of, to get our residents taken care of. And we had them in every city. And I sat down this week. I got a list from our Memphis division, and I got a list from our Texas division. And I personally called every vendor to thank them for what they did last week for us. And it was above and beyond going out there. I had a situation at my house also where a vendor drove through the snow 30 miles. I mean, this happened all around in all of our cities for all of our residents. And it was just an unbelievable call of duty that these folks did. And so first and foremost, we were taking care of our residents, making sure them and their families and kids and children and all of that were taken care of. And for the most part, Nate, we had people back up. How quickly?
Yeah, I mean, the first few days were tricky due to just, the hazards of road conditions and the vendors being able to get there. But the majority of issues we had initially, water turned back on within 1 to 2 days in most cases. Now we're still dealing with some of the aftermath and some of the final cleanup and the cosmetics. Some of those are still underway, but one of the tricky parts, and we jumped into high gear, and our main goal and the best thing that we could have done at that time is answering calls, talking to the residents, advising what to do, how to do it, turn your water off, wait for the water to thaw, do this, do that, trying to air traffic control in multiple different directions to where then we could direct whatever vendor we needed to at that time. So the key to all of this and to our success throughout this whole thing, I believe, was communication. And I mean, one day alone, we had 170 phone calls and 162 of those were answered. So just when your team steps up and is asked to do incredible things, they do incredible things. And that's what I think saved us and helped us through a lot of this. And hopefully that will be reflected in terms of the residents being happy, even through this crisis that we've just gone through for the past week and a half now.
And then we had some decisions to make about people that we couldn't get heat to their house within a few hours, and we had to put them in a hotel. I think in all of our cities, we had a total of 8 to 10 people that we had to put in a hotel for a night or two. And then, I think we have one, they told me today, Nate, that we still have in a hotel because that house had extensive, when the pipes broke, had extensive damage, and we're in the process of getting all that done. And so we still have one person in a hotel that we're being taken care of. So again, 75% of our calls were plumbing related, having to do with broken pipes. But Nate, that's only part of it when we have a broken pipe. What is some of the other damages that happen when you have a broken pipe?
Yeah, so let's just go back and look at these. We had about 150 in each of our divisions, so close to around 300 total plumbing calls. Now, not all of those calls equal necessarily busted pipes. Part of the issue is when you drop below freezing for that long, is the water will literally freeze in the lines. You won't have hot water. It depends on where the freeze is throughout the pipe. I had it at my own personal property. My kitchen sink hot water line froze. So, I mean, it all just depends. And then, you wait with bated breath for the big thaw to see if there's any type of burst or leak from that actual water line freezing. So our first step was obviously advise and communicate with the resident, turn the water off in an attempt to mitigate damage as best we can. Now, not every single busted pipe call is necessarily going to be a disaster or a huge calamity. It depends on where this bust is. You have exterior spigots where you hook up a garden hose to. Those are typically the first pipes to burst in some scenarios. So that could be a decent, good news where water will go outside and not into the inside of the property. It could have been on an exterior hot water tank in the south, in the southeast. Sometimes hot water tanks are in the garage or in an exterior storage room. So it all just depends. Not every single time when you hear burst pipe is it a very bad thing. But what it is, it's a big inconvenience to the resident, because the only way to fix a burst pipe at first, before you're able to get a plumber there, is to turn the water off at the water main, which then means you have no water in your property. So then it's game on from there in terms of rerouting and doing air traffic control with plumbers to get those pipes fixed as quickly as possible. So your first step is fixing the pipe, and your second step is going to be water extraction if water gets into the property. If the floor is wet in a bedroom or a kitchen or wherever that is. And then your third step is going to be any type of cosmetic repairs from that, either from the water damage or from a plumber having to cut into sheetrock to locate that busted pipe to be able to fix it. So those are the three main things that we're seeing and dealing with currently. And the majority of them have been minor. We do have some properties that have had more extensive damages than what I just explained. You got to remember, I mean, we had power outages with some folks in some cities for a long time. And then, so nobody knew, you know, whether they weren't at their property or it happened so quickly or something along those lines. So we're still going through all those, handling those accordingly. The customer service team is going to be in touch with our owners. The maintenance team is going to be in touch with our owners and communicate accordingly with those while we're still attempting to take care of the resident first and foremost.
So our owners are starting to be contacted today, letting them know what's going on, because we didn't want to jump out there last Friday or Monday and we hadn't completely assessed everything that was going on in every property. And we're still not 100% today, but we are starting to let our owners know what's going on in their properties. And again, less than 10% of our properties had any kind of extensive damage. How many total heat calls did we have, Nate, that the heat was out?
This was just during that time. And I mean, we didn't have any heat calls that were necessarily caused by the storm, but obviously with the low temperatures, we were tracking these to make sure that we were on top of them. We had around 60 to 70, Kent.
In all the houses. So that was a kind of a surprise to me. I thought we would have a lot more than that. But today we're starting to, really yesterday, Monday and Tuesday, we really started putting the pieces back together and it started coming back together. We felt like the worst was behind us. Everything's pretty much thawed Saturday and Sunday, if not for sure by Monday. And our staff, we were able to get back in our offices, everybody get back to their familiar surroundings. Although a lot of people had to work from home with, again, some of our people didn't have power, some of our people didn't have internet, and we're working around all of these obstacles to get these residents taken care of. Because again, the reason why we get higher rents, we get 2-year leases, we get 225 renewals every month. Our average resident stays 5 to 6 years. It's because we jump on things like this and we answer the phones. They don't get a recording every time. We try to answer the phone, try to call them back to see if the vendor took care of their problem, make sure they're happy and that they want to stay and rent houses with us because of the type of service we give and genuinely caring about the experience that the resident has. I think we probably do that a little bit different than most property management companies do. At least that's what we hear. And again, it all comes back to the all important resident staying with us, paying the rent, renewing their lease, realizing that the rent's going to go up, and just wanting to stay with a good property management company because we do it the right way. We get their maintenance calls taken care of. Nate, would you have anything else to add on our crisis situation for the last week or so that we're about to bring to an end?
No, I want to give big kudos to our team in all cities. I mean, we had people working 10 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning. Somebody was at a property. Our team has gone above and beyond, and I want to give them a big thank you for their hard work. They really stepped up to the call this past week. Our leadership has done the same by working hard and getting us the resources we need in order to be able to handle those situations. And then, also to our owners, just stay patient with us. We're still trudging through this thing while we're out of the, I guess, the actual eye of the storm. We're on the outer bands of it now, finishing the cleanup, getting everything taken care of, with, again, the residents' happiness first in mind, while also making sure that we're watching out for our owners and their bottom line. So, it was crisis management 101. We had a first hand account of it, and our team stepped up and did an awesome job. So very proud of them.
And just for our owners and people in the group, we had a situation 7 or 8 years ago in Memphis where some floods hit here, and we have a crisis management team ready to go, stepped up, got it all handled, talked to all of our owners, got a message out to all of our owners on a Sunday afternoon about the floods and everything they were hearing on the news and seeing on the TV and the radio or whatever. And then a few years ago, we had the hurricane down in Houston where we had some situations down there. Again, crisis management team that we have that jumps in, talks to our vendors, takes care of our residents, deploys our people. And this is one of the areas that I think that we really, really do good in when this happens. And again, it's all about doing the right thing, taking care of the resident, treating them right. And that goes back to those 4 groups of people, Nate, that I always talk about. We take care of our residents, we take care of our vendors, take care of our owners, and take care of our staff. We're going to have a pretty good business here. And we just got to continue to get better with every one of those areas as we go through. So again, thank you to you and your team and your leadership and everything that we did through getting all this done. And we overall did a pretty good job, or did a really, really good job. So I know there'll be some questions that'll come in, and you guys can drop them in there, and we'll get Nate or whoever to answer them, whether it's on the appliances or whether it's on some of the things that we did in crisis management. And the other thing that we're going to do, and I'll just wrap it up with this, typically we mark our maintenance up 15%. In other words, if a maintenance call is $100 and we have people that have to take care of all that. So we mark, so that comes out to $115 to an owner. So Nate and his team will be looking at most of this storm damage, and we will be waiving that 15% for a lot of our owners, a lot of these situations that relate to this storm. And Nate and his team will be evaluating those invoices and taking a look at it and making those decisions. Myself and the Clothier family, we're not in here trying to make money on this deal, all right? We want to help everybody we can, and we are going to make some concessions on the 15% for our owners and doing the right thing, and go back to our core values of always doing number one, of always doing the right thing. So we think we can help out some people here, and we think it's the right thing to do, and we should do it, and we're going to do it. So those will be cases where Nate will get into it with our maintenance and renovation department, and then convey that to our customer service department. So Nate, I thank you for jumping on here with me this afternoon, and I'm sure there'll be some questions that come up. So again, to our Facebook group, please like this, share it with other people. We appreciate everybody that's been on the call this afternoon and maybe watches this later tonight. But again, we thank you, and everybody have a great day, and we'll see you on the next live call. Thank you.